I was waiting.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman McKinney will do this prayer.
Heavenly Father, you have entrusted us to be stewards of our community. Please guide our hearts and minds as we make decisions that will affect our residents. We ask that you bless our community with peace and prosperity. May we be always mindful of the needs of all of our residents and of our entire community. Please protect our police department, fire department, and our employees as they perform their duties. Father, we also ask that you bless all the members of our military, past and present. We thank you for giving them the courage to serve. We pray that you will protect them and return them home safely. Thank you for the many blessings that you have given us, and keep us ever mindful of them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Thomas will not be here this evening, and Ms. Schott may show up, but
Make a motion to excuse him.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
Bills.
Motion for the bills.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
Excuse me. Hourly workers' time report. Right down. And Debbie's right on it this time. All right. Fireman's time.
Motion.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
Deborah, clerk treasurer report.
We received notice from Stark County regarding they will be baiting for the rabies 8/2 through 8/24. Since we have completed the month of July, Amy and I will begin working on the 2022 budget and completing that for council in Stark County. The village did receive $51,380.40. It's our share of the 2021 American Rescue Plan funding. And in the legislation that we probably won't pass till next meeting, we'll have to pass that for us to post that.
Did they also give you the regulations on what to spend it for then, Debbie?
No, I'm still looking at the regulations being, it's going to, infrastructure. I know some communities are trying to put it through to remodel buildings. To me, that's not the infrastructure. They're looking at water, sewer, and electric is what they're looking at.
If I get,
Okay.
I have the legislation for you. We will have the first reading of resolution number 2110, a resolution creating the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 Special Revenue Fund within the 2021 Permanent Appropriations Budget for the Village of Beach City, Ohio. Your first reading. I have the first reading of ordinance number 21-11, an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 17-14 and modify the policies and procedure for eliminating noxious weeds and litter within the Village of Beach City, Ohio. Would be your first reading. And the last one that I have for ordinances is ordinance 2112, an ordinance to amend section 2 and section 6 of ordinance number 20-10, and thereby revising the rules and regulations governing electric, water, and sewer, account management, billing, and collections for the Village of Beach City, Ohio. We have one carryover from last meeting. It'll be the second reading of resolution number 2106, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio, John Hartman, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs and to execute contracts as required. That is the second reading. And that's all that I have.
Thank you, Deborah. I guess we'll go to the insurance. John? I can't remember, your first.
Joel.
Joel, okay, that's right. I knew it started with a J, but
It is, Joel.
I was not informed you'd be here. I would have put you in.
That's what I understand.
My girls are really busy all the time, or at least that's what they tell me, anyway.
Oops.
Everyone got one? Before, or how's that? We should have enough. This has been actually a fairly busy year for the Village of Beach City. You guys have made a lot of changes this year. We've added a bunch of properties on, we've added a bunch of equipment, we've changed some vehicles around and those kinds of things, so it's been kind of a busy year. We don't, there's one or two things change, and it's not a big deal, but you guys have done quite a bit this year. When I look at it, with the, we did go ahead earlier part of the year, we increased the value of the cemetery garage. It was only valued at like $10,000 or $15,000, and we added about $30,000 more, or $20,000 more coverage for that. Then we also added the 3 properties that were out there. There's one that's the vacant dwelling that's down on Main Street here. There's the 3 lots and the vacant trailer that are out there. And then we also added 3rd Avenue. There's a dwelling down there that, it's more vacant, just a vacant building or a vacant dwelling. It's condemned. Yeah, it's condemned, whatever, okay?
Was there a reason that we put the raise up on the cemetery building?
What's that? Yeah, it was only valued at like $10,000, and if you were to try and replace that building, it'd be a little bit more than $10,000.
That's why I'm asking.
That's why we did that.
Yeah, it's
I
not
didn't
so
think-
much
I didn't think it was
what it's
too bad.
worth, it's how much it costs to.
It would cost,
replace it.
it's not what it's worth, it would cost
To
to
replace.
rebuild it. That's what we look at, okay?
And you put it up to 30,000.
No, we actually increased it by $20,000, so now I think it's, I'd have to look at exactly what we did to it. Hold on. It's on the in the packet that you have is a property schedule. And that property schedule is located on page 10.
Okay.
And, see, the cemetery garage is now valued at $50,000, because that's what we figured it would cost to replace that building. With a building that's just like it. Now granted, again, it's not what it's worth. It's not an actual cash value basis. It's if that thing got damaged by whatever.
Because we're not covering nothing on the inside, right? Just the
No,
building.
No, just the building. That's just the building value. To replace that building would cost approximately $50,000
I'm surprised.
with the size of the building and the type of the structure and all that it is.
Okay.
You're gonna build that out of wood, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Now, part of that too, and you have to consider this, is that and we saw this when the
What
when
building,
the,
what building do you think?
when
Lift station?
the lift station got hit down there, okay?
Okay,
You know, the lift station was only insured for like $20,000 or $30,000, and we ended up paying a lot
lot
more
more.
than that on it. So you have what they call a blanket basis on your property, so we have a full limit, but the attempt at this point is that we should have each building fairly close to the insurable value, because if we didn't, obviously, it's not gonna be right to the insurance carrier, and it's not right to the village to try and whizzle our way out of it without paying what's appropriate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so we did make some changes there. While you have that page 10 out there, and I need to talk to John maybe about this, if you'll take a look at this for me. There are a couple of properties out there with some of those lift stations. There's two of the lift stations, I know that the one that's out that got hit, and then there's another lift station which is over this direction out of town, I believe, it's with all the controllers and all that bit in it. There's one that's,
You talking about the one over on 212?
yeah, there's one located,
That's not a lift station.
we consider to be, there's a lift station that we have valued on Maslin Street.
That's
That's
Wilmot.
That's the new one in Wilmot.
And then
and
there's
the-
another one, another expensive lift station that you guys have, that we had a bunch of controllers and all that in too as well. Where was it?
Well, I'm surprised about that price on the one lift station in Master Street. You only got $30,600 on it.
No, the one on Maslin, the one on Maslin is $314,000.
I got the wrong one
Look
here.
at the next page.
Says
Yeah,
lift
there's two
station.
lift stations on Maslin.
Yeah.
If you look at the back side, there's another one that's got $314,000 on it. Okay, so there's a couple of those that we have some pretty good chunks of change
I can understand that.
on, okay?
That's the new one.
That's the new one.
we
That's,
just built.
that's the new one. And then the other one that got hit, which is over on 250.
Yes, 250 and 212 intersection.
Yeah, 250 and 212, the intersection over there. We don't, right now, even after when we first looked at evaluating those lift stations and the other stuff that's around it, I think we got a better handle on what the values of the lift stations were, but we also need to put some sort of value in, and albeit maybe slight, maybe it's $4,000 or $5,000 a location, but the fencing that's around those locations is not included. I think that there's only one of those two lift stations, you can see, premises 12 there, it's got $5,100 on it, because we knew that when we replaced it, we were paying for fencing out there, but I don't necessarily know, from driving around, which of those lift stations have any kind of fencing around them or not. So I need someone, if John can help me with that, if I can have you kind of give me some sort of ballpark with what you think ought to be at each one of those.
Do we have fencing around number 2 going out? Down in the hole? Is
I
there
believe
fence?
so.
There is?
Yeah, all of them have a fence around
So
them.
we got fence around all of them?
Yeah.
We have fence, the new one in Wilmot?
No. Well, the one across the road where the generator is, has fence, but the new one is in that guy's backyard, it does not have a fence.
Okay.
But it's a locked building,
Yeah.
it's inside the building, so, but yeah.
Yeah, but if you can just give me an indication of which ones have some fencing around it, then I'll put $3,000 or $4,000 for each one of those units, and that ought to be fine for us. I think.
So, my question to you would be then, these prices, does that include the generators that are on those properties?
They should. If we don't know that the generators were there, then I don't know that you've got generators there, and I wouldn't know that the value of those. When we did this before, we worked with the past.
Didn't you work with Greg?
We worked with Greg, yeah.
Get them
And
up.
2 years ago, some of the lift stations were only had like $5,000 worth of coverage
Yeah,
on
I
them,
remember.
which we knew at the time was really, really wrong. And Greg went through this and gave me some updates. So back in the 2019 period, about a year and a half ago, we did that exercise, and the values we were given were what you see now on here. So I would encourage you again then, if we really think they're not right, is if you would please go through there again, go through the value of those things, and please give us an update on that.
Jim's gonna go through it, and he'll eventually call you Then they can sit down with Debbie and that.
Well, at least you have the insurance, you know what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
costs.
there's insurance
Does
out
that sound
there.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll hold.
Yeah.
This is why you have your
Yeah,
insurance
I'm sorry,
committee to
if
work
Jim-
on
if
this
Jim-
with
if-
Jim,
yeah,
not just me,
I'm
they
sorry,
need to work
yeah.
with Jim.
If you'll look at the stuff,
yep,
on all of those, I think we did a pretty good job last time when we went through, we're looking at all the garages and those kinds of things, but the lift stations to me are kind of an unknown factor. I don't know what's in them electrically and whether you've got generators on it or what you've got in each one of those lift stations.
They're all buried
which
underneath
are
the
all-
ground and you don't know.
Well, they're all buried underground, and we do a lot of this, but entity to entity have different types of lift stations depending upon what it is. Some of them are pretty simple, just there's a pump down there and it just goes from one area to the other. Some of them have generators, some of them don't, and whatever, so we need some guidance for you guys on that.
would you put these in the same category as the building though? What it would cost me to replace that structure?
Absolutely.
Because if there's, let's say, a cave-in or, you know, a semi runs over that, it could collapse the entire structure. Then we're talking,
You're gonna have to put
A
your
20-foot
foundation
hole
in,
and-
and you're gonna
yeah.
have to put all the piping and the pump and, yeah, all that stuff.
alright, okay, we'll work on that.
Okay, thank you.
When does this take effect? I know that
Well,
we're rolling over.
I'm not mistaken. 8/13?
You guys like doing that, don't
I could come earlier if you want.
you? Good idea.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it,
I
we
think-
can change things,
Well,
here, let me,
Joel, that's fine. What
Yeah.
I'm saying though is like, it'd be nice if you guys come in like the first part of July.
Sure.
And then that way, then it'll give these guys time to look at stuff and everything. But I mean, I know we're sucking with the end.
Here's the other thing the other nice thing about the Ohio plan though. We're gonna, even if we decide to change a bunch of these values,
Oh, yeah,
we
sure.
change them September 1st or October 1st, okay? The premium for this coming year isn't gonna change at all. What you guys would pay now, it's not like your homeowner's insurance or an automobile policy
Right.
where you change something and then we send you a bill mid-term. The premium that you pay for the first of the year doesn't change. We're not gonna add or delete any premium to it. We can add and delete coverage, but we're not gonna change what it was you paid for that year's worth of
I
insurance.
got you.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I just, I'm
Okay.
going to be rushed.
So,
fine.
that's what I said, I'm not trying to rush anybody
Oh, no,
on
that's
doing
fine.
any of this, but I just wanna make sure that we're all
I
on the
don't think we
same.
realize how much those lift stations were worth till they got wrapped. And that thing is really, there's a lot of money involved.
Well, there's a lot of money involved in there,
We
yeah.
built a new one, I mean, what we're
Yeah.
talking,
And-
230 to 250,000?
Yeah, you're talking
Yeah.
$250,000.
Yeah, and the Ohio plan, I mean, we only have the thing insured for
Oh, I know.
a few
Well,
$1,000s
your fall
out
bill
there.
was-
They ended up paying about $50,000 to get everything back
They never updated that.
to where it was. And they kind of, again, the Ohio plan, that's just the way the blanket works. They
Sure.
absorbed that and all, but they encourage people, I mean, the worst thing in the world is to have some massive loss.
Mhm.
Okay, but the chances, because even yourselves, you're so spread out here with all of that stuff.
Right.
Something like that, the chances of something like that happening are pretty slim.
Right. Oh, yeah, I
It's
understand.
very, very remote. So that's why they like to blanket this stuff, so that as things change and whatever, there's some ability to be flexible on their standpoint.
So we could go ahead and pass this. We don't have to do an ordinance on this, do we, Debbie? For the next year? Or do we just go ahead and pass it and keep?
Yeah, we'll do that next year before we do
Well,
this.
bottom
I
line,
get it earlier,
you
yeah.
should be having committee meetings all year long to go over this stuff and not wait to the last minute, or having them come in at the last minute. That's why we have committees.
Yeah.
It's
This
existing
is under
contract.
Yeah,
existing
that's what we're
contract,
gonna
it's
do.
just the
It
new.
Yeah.
runs
Yes.
for another year.
Yeah, it runs for another year anyway, so it's really
It's no
not
big.
that major of a deal,
Right.
okay? The equipment, net total by the time we added everything and deleted a few, we took off the life packs, that were donated to Wilmot.
Oh, yeah.
And then we added a bunch of other stuff, but the net effect was that we added about $105,000, almost $106,000 worth of new stuff this year that we didn't have in the past. And then when you look at it, you got rid of a pickup truck that was totaled.
Yeah, we got rid of it.
Got rid of that.
And that's one way of putting it.
And then there was a 1999 International truck that was deleted too, and then we added a new International digger. They had an International dump truck and a new Dodge Ram 2500 that was added along the way too. You know, the liability things that changed, obviously, you've got the 3 properties that were added,
Right.
that's kind of a big deal. Vacant stuff is, the insurance industry, I guess, the common terminology is that they are attractive nuisances,
Sure.
you know? And there's some liability associated with adding vacant properties on and those kinds of things to go along with it.
And we're getting it tore down, so.
Yeah, yeah.
For this condemned, yeah.
Right,
And
yeah.
we locked it up too, it's all boarded up and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
That was one reason why I wanted to get possession of it, because it's been empty for so long.
Right, and those are, I just got them the other day, and I haven't had enough time to talk to Jim yet, but I know that the underwriter wants some information about time frame to have these things torn
Oh, yeah.
down, and what's going on with them, and how they're secured right now, and those
That's
kinds
what
of
we're
things.
doing too.
And, you know, there's a bunch of questions that
Sure.
they want us to provide them answers for, but in the meantime, the liability, we know they're vacant, the liability coverage is there, and there's not a problem with any of that stuff, okay?
Good enough.
The only other thing that really, the only other change, and it really didn't make much of a change to us, I know there was a change in the law enforcement officers. We went to 1 full-time
Mhm.
and 8 part-time instead of all part-time people last year. So it kind of netted out, that portion of it netted out to just about 0 on all that bit. From our standpoint, the long and the short of it is, you know, the rates we've used this year are the same as they have been for the last 2 years. That was one of the things that we guaranteed to do. But because we added all of those extra things, obviously there's some premium associated with that. This year, the premium is $26,289, which, 26, yeah. Which is about almost $2,800 more than what it was last year. If you figure with all the extra properties and the trucks and the equipment and all that bit, the rates are what they are and they're the same as that they were last year. So from our standpoint, the only thing that's going up is the exposure and.
So as soon as we get rid of the properties, some of them, which we're gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
all we have to do is call you and get it taken off.
Mm-hmm. And then at the next renewal, the premium will go down.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All that makes sense,
Yep.
I hope.
Insurance is something else.
They're always looking for money, right?
Yeah.
Any questions for me at all? I know I kind of breezed through that quickly. I will get with Jim and we'll take care of some of those issues with the vacant buildings and we'll take a look at the values on the other things for us.
And the lift stations.
And the lift stations. Yeah, the lift stations is what, those things can be expensive. I know they can be. Like I said, but I've got some entities that all they have is a pump down underneath the ground and they don't even necessarily have a generator that goes along with them. So those are fairly inexpensive. I mean, there's a lot of lift stations I have out there that are insured for $10,000 and that's probably more than adequate for them. But obviously, if you have generators and other things that are attached to those things, $10,000 probably isn't gonna be nearly enough for any of those lift stations either.
As long as we can put more burden on Jim's shoulders, brother.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We don't have any visitors signed in, do we? Okay. All right. All right, fire. All right, well, Bill's working again. Total calls to date, 193. Last year, at this time, 153. Mutual aid, 2 to Brewster, 3 received from Brewster, and 1 received from Wilma. I don't know why this is Squad 135 still out of service. Oh, they're waiting on parts. Okay, that might be a while. Fire siren is fixed, working again through the new March system. FEMA grants awards are being announced every Friday. We'll be scheduling pump tests on unit 131, 132, and 133, late August, early September. Bingo will resume on August the 5th, it's Thursday, and then quarter auction, it'll be October 30th. And no funding requested from Mr. Chief Anderson this time. So every time he's not here, they don't want any money. I'm keeping him moving. All right, Chief Guy.
I received a call from one of our residents on the corner of Second and School Court, who lives right behind the baseball fields at the park. She is requesting, and I told her I'd bring it up to you guys, she had to work tonight. But she's saying that there are several foul balls that are hitting her house and cars from them playing baseball every year. I guess it's becoming more of a problem. I believe that's Fairless Schools that's still on that, but I don't 100% know who would manage or be able to help her. She's requesting if someone could put higher netting up. I said, I don't know whose. I said, I know Fairless School has part of that. I don't know if that's Baseball Association. I said, I'll just bring it up to council. Let them know, because obviously this is out of my wheelhouse, so I wanted to bring it up to you guys and let you know.
It's the little kids that play down there though. They must really be smacking the ball hard.
She's saying her vehicles are,
T-ball.
Yeah, it's all T-ball, I thought.
they've got softball, she said they're playing softball and it's hitting
Oh, are
her,
they?
their house and her,
Oh, well then, yeah.
her vehicle.
That could be a problem.
Yeah, so she's concerned. I told her it's obviously not a police matter, but I would bring it to council and try to get her some answers of who.
I recall, I'll give you Mr. Babbitt's number, or, not Babbitt, the gentleman up in, superintendent, for Farrell School.
Wouldn't that fall to the association for the softball
Yeah, it could go
people,
to that.
because they
That's
probably
what I was
got,
wondering though, is Farrell's Baseball Association, not softball, that's why I don't understand.
I was completely lost on it, so I just thought I'd bring it to council and see if I can get her some answers on where to go from there.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can find
She was concerned about it. She
Well,
said
yeah.
her new car's gonna get dinged up on it and didn't know who would be responsible for it. Well, it's not really a criminal thing, but civilly, I'd at least bring it up for her. This Thursday, so we have a LiDAR unit now, and we're going to get training on that Thursday. Thursday evening, we'll have training on that. The Charger, I let Kylan drive it the other day, and he ran over a can of spray paint about 2 o'clock in the morning, and painted the back part of the Charger yellow. So I could have probably taken it off myself, but it's a brand new car, and I'm not going to be responsible for scratching or messing up that paint, so we did take it down to the body shop here. I think it was a little over $100 is what I saw, and he was able to get it all cleaned off for us. I just didn't want to. I'm not gonna be responsible for messing up more than what had happened. He admitted to it right away. Monday morning he called me, said he accidentally hit a spray paint can. He didn't realize he did it until he drove back by Monday morning and saw that was what happened.
What was he doing here on midnights anyway? I thought he just worked Mondays.
It was a Friday. He works, I'm sorry, it was Friday, Saturday morning, but he works every other Friday. So he works Monday mornings and Friday nights. So just giving you guys heads up there was a small.
did you find out whose spray can it was?
We did not know. It was just in the middle of the road.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I came in, I believe, Saturday and saw my back end of my car spray painted. So,
But it was only on the bumper, it wasn't on the whole back car.
no, it was the bumper and the back, just
Yeah.
the back part. So he was, like I said, we took it down there, got it fixed. It was not really a huge deal, just letting you guys know. We're getting our TASER certifications now that COVID has gone away, but is now coming back. We're gonna do our TASER training next Thursday evening. I believe I already had the approval for this, but I'd like up to $200 to pay for the instructor. And that's gonna be Nathan Taylor from Brewster, just to do the course on it. I don't think it's gonna cost us that much, but I wanna be safe with any kind of extra supplies I think we might need for it. Next Thursday, we are doing the taste certifications.
How many people you taking over there?
They're all he's gonna come here and do it. I believe there's 8.
In other words, all the patrol's gotta be done.
All the part-timer have to be
Okay.
done. I'm not going to do the auxiliary at this time, but my part-time regulars will have all the training done because it's so expensive for the cartridges. So we're gonna go, each one of the officers, part-timers will get certified in it.
So the part-timers then do not have access to that stuff whenever would it be helping?
Any part-timer who's certified can carry it. One, the auxiliary does not have access to it.
Okay,
All my part-timers that get certified.
that's what I'm
All
talking
my
about.
part-timers who have certified will have access, and I know we got the taser the end of last year, but with COVID, we couldn't really get in a big group to do it, so now, before it comes back, we're gonna try to.
Is that all the money you got on there?
No. Just a little bit more.
Take your time.
I will. The radars were calibrated. I have that bill here for Debbie. I believe I asked for $300 and it came to $180. So we were less on that, so I have the receipt there for that. They all were able to be calibrated. They're all working fine. It's a yearly expense we do every year. And then the only other thing I need is our paper shredder has died. And I'd like up to $200 to buy a new paper shredder unless we have another one hidden here. One that might last us more than, the ones that we generally get are like $600. This is actually one of the cheaper ones compared to like the $40 ones, little tiny ones that you shred 10 things will burn it up.
Is there one back there?
Yeah.
Do we have an extra one?
Probably didn't use it. Back in the thing.
So you don't
Talking
need
about
a
the big
paper
one?
shredder now.
I think so.
If it's extra, we'll take it.
We don't use it.
So, but either way, I guess it can be considered an office supply, worst case scenario is where we are right there.
Oh, try it, if it doesn't work, then come back in with
Yeah,
it.
there we go. He can go over here and shred things if worst case scenario. I'll come back. The only other thing I have is I have 2 new officers I'd like to put on tonight.
Oh, wait a second. That's $200 for the classes.
Up to 200 for the instructor and materials if we need it.
I'll make a motion for the 200 for the instructor and materials.
Second?
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey?
Yes.
Also, the Lexi pool, we're gonna be doing some updates on. So getting caught up on some of the policies that have changed. There's gonna be a few updates that I'm gonna be going through the next couple weeks just to make sure everything
Is that the same thing that Jim will be working with, Lexipol?
I sent him information over there. I'm not sure what is going further with that. I got him a contact, but I don't know. It'll be a different policy program, but same program, if that makes sense.
Do we end up having to pay a separate price for this
Yes,
department?
you will.
Do
will
you?
pay it. And I don't know, will the insurance cover any of that?
For a subscription to Lexipol, the insurance will pay 50% of the subscription for the first year, 30% the second year, and 20% the third.
That was police. Well, he's talking about using them to do like a handbook course.
So the village is going to get a separate one. They came out with a new program with Lexipol that the villages now can use it for policy and procedures. On the police side, we use it. Lexipol just came out with a new program for the actual village employees. So they've got one for fire, they have one for
I was gonna
police.
say, the fire and police is where we're.
And now they've come out,
reimbursements
from
for.
my understanding, they came out with one for the village. So I'm not sure what they're planning on doing with it, but we already have our discount. I think we're actually through it.
Probably.
But Lexipol's been absolutely amazing for us. So I highly recommend it for anybody that.
I know that the deal we have is for the police and the fire departments. I can't tell you whether they've done anything with the employee programs that too, but I can find out.
Well, let Jim know, Joe.
Lisa Hockenberry at Lexipol would probably be one of the other explain a
Well,
little.
her discount and all that bit is gonna be, because the Ohio plan actually pumps the money back to you directly. So it's
Okay.
not, and.
I guess if you would need any information on
You
what the
should
policies
have,
are.
because you're a Lexipol, because you're an Ohio Plan member, there should be a discount that you should be receiving in a special price, if you will, for the fire and the police departments.
I would have to double check on that, and I know we
But
get a
yeah,
discount
and then
through
we
you guys.
reimburse that subscription fees. I will find out about the employees and all
Okay.
that, so I'll let Debbie know.
But just so you guys know, I've got some policy updates I'm working on the next couple weeks with some new use of force stuff and everything like that that's going into it as when it affects. We're gonna make sure everything's up to
Do
date.
you think you guys are allowed to use force anymore?
We would take a much softer approach. Other than that, I'd like to introduce my two new officers back here. This is Herb Fogel and Jeff Wilson. Have Herb come up first, introduce himself. He worked for us a few years ago. He is a paramedic firefighter for Canton, I believe Canton Township. So he worked for us, then went down to the city of Philadelphia, worked on their police department for a little bit and on their fire department. And is now gonna come back to us, be a great asset, especially with the paramedic side. And his experience with the police department, he was former in Jackson Township as well, so he's got some experience, it'd be good to have him back. I'll let him kind of introduce himself again and.
Sure. My name's Herb Fogel. I was full-time City of New Philadelphia on the fire department, and I was part-time on the police department. Canton gave me a pretty good offer to come back to give me my years of service, which I did pretty well. So it was definitely it was a good offer, so that's why I left New Philly, and it was closer to home. So from
So
Canton.
where are you living at now?
I live between Alliance and Canton.
So he works off of 30, off of 30, so he'll be able to leave right from there and come down here and help us out. He's gonna help us out a couple days a month, cover some of these shifts, and with his experience, he's also a CPR first aid instructor, so he can help us out with those as well. So it'll be good to have him on, and then Jeff's back there. I'm sorry, did you? Come on up.
Don't be shy, Jeff.
No, I'm not shy, that's for sure.
Yeah, come on up. This is Jeff Wilson. He'll be joining us as well. They'll both be part-time. You want to introduce yourself? A little about
As
yourself?
Chief said, my name's Jeff Wilson. I spent the majority of my adult life with DirecTV corporate. Went into law enforcement in 2016, was working for Lakemore up in Akron. Got talked back into the business world, so full-time I work for a global technology integrator out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, from home in Akron full-time, and currently work for Salingville part-time as a police officer now, Beach City.
You're gonna keep the other part-time plus this?
No, I just haven't broken up with him yet.
Okay.
It's-
They just don't know it.
Well, it's just, they're a small department and they're hurting for people just like anybody else is, so, you know, I'm old, I don't do much but work and raise kids, so if I got free time, I'll help them when I can, but if not, then I'll be here, so.
So, good. I'd like to get approval to hire them both on. And the other question I had, Dennis, is more for you. Herb just got his BCI FBI background check done in April, and he also did a physical in April through Altworks. Will that transfer, the BCI FBI should be okay, but for his medical physical, would you be okay? Or we would transfer that over to here?
What do you say about that?
I'd run it, yeah.
His physical?
The physical, the background for sure. The physical, I think, would be what you ordinarily do.
Just a basic physical.
I think that's at your discretion, but I'd run it that.
We could get a copy of that, right?
The physical?
Physical.
I would assume that Debbie would need that if we're not gonna do it again. I don't think her would have a problem providing that. If we're not gonna make him do a second physical. The background check will do my normal background check that I usually do on them. However, the BCI FBI, unless something shows up differently, he's left the country, or the state, it's not gonna, it shouldn't change too much, but we can always have another one done just to be safe, just the BCI FBI. I'll obviously do my normal, I've done the preliminary background on both of them, and we'll do the finished final one. They are on a year probation, so that does give me some time to finish up background before I release them on the streets. But they should be good to go. Shouldn't be good to go otherwise with my preliminary background check. I just wanted to get them through council and we'll finish everything else.
Do you wanna do an individual thing from council to hire each person?
I think we just blanket it. I think we do both of them on one unless they needs something otherwise.
I just want them to vote to accept whatever they're gonna accept, whether it be the physical or the background, so we keep fresh what we're gonna do.
Absolutely. So do you guys want will you guys accept Herb's physical? I'll redo the background check. I don't mind, but at that point I need $75 for each of them to get a background, BCIFD background check done. I don't mind doing both those. Are we going to be safe?
You say we're okay on that, Steve?
Just for the sake of preference, I would run your own BCI so that you have the record showing that you ran instead of adopted one.
But the physical would be okay.
The physical is just physical fitness
Just a
requirements.
medical, just physical.
Or is that like drug test, or is that?
It would be a drug test and
I would run that
we'll
too.
rerun it off. Okay, we'll just rerun it off.
So let's go one at a time then to hire.
Okay.
I was thinking physical fitness.
It's kind of a mix of both.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
Give us one name at a time.
So we have Herb Vogel.
Hold on. I'll make a motion to hire him.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes. Next,
Second one, Jeff Wilson.
motion to hire him.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
Okay, and then so thank you, I'll have both of them get with you, Debbie, on Wednesday, that we get through payroll, to set up their physicals. And then if you guys each get $75 each to go get your BCI FBI background check done, you can look online, find a place that'll do it. Usually they'll do it pretty cheap, a lot less than that, but I usually go on the high end. And then just give me your receipt, we'll turn it into Debbie here and we'll reimburse you for it. And then the only thing I need is, Mayor, if you could swear them both in, you only have to read them once, they both raise their right hand and then
No,
we should be all right.
Come on up here.
yeah, I'm old, guys. All right, raise your right hand, please. All right, I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and laws and ordinances of political subdivision
and laws and ordinances of the political subdivision
to which I am appointed,
to which I am appointed,
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
will discharge the duties of this office.
will discharge the duties of this office.
Steve, come. Thanks for coming on board, Brad.
Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that all, Chief?
That's it, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
All right.
You guys have a pretty simple to go with you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, water wastewater.
See you later, Sheriff. I'll call you, I'm sorry. I'll contact you next June, okay? About.
Yeah, we'll start ahead of them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
not a problem at all.
All right, but thank you very much. I'm sorry.
That's right. I didn't know his name. Okay. Are we done out there in the crowd?
It's okay, girl.
All right, water wastewater. I'm scheduling a smoke test to be done in the village of Wilmot. I don't have a date for that yet. We're working closely with the Stark County Health Department, and we're going to make it a class where we'll invite other communities, wastewater departments to participate with us. Like I said, I don't have a date yet, but I've got the ball rolling on that so we can address some of our I&I issues, which is inflow and infiltration of stormwater into our wastewater system over there. Make some, do some remedies to try to fix some problems over there. I I'm supposed to be getting here real quick a cost estimate for our AMR metering system. And we're also looking at some funding for that. I have found, well, the engineers have found some access to funding that might help us with replacing our water meters and our meter reading infrastructure. So we're still working on that. I've received 5 applications for our water wastewater position. And the mayor and I have begun, with Amy's help, doing interviews this week. So I've got some scheduled, and we're looking into these 5 candidates for open position. And with saying that, I need to inform council that our second operator, Mr. Seward, has turned in his resignation. He hasn't come back in to visit me yet to give me the letter of resignation, but he was supposed to come in today, but he said his well at his property had failed, so he was working on that.
Do we gotta make a motion to accept that, or wait until he brings the letter in?
No, he hasn't.
We don't have.
It's not, I mean, he hasn't,
Okay,
yeah, he hasn't given
He
us
has not
letter.
given me a letter yet.
okay.
He's no longer employed though, so it doesn't matter whether we pass anything or not, he's not here anymore.
We can go ahead and vote on that. You don't think so,
You
Debbie?
cannot vote in his resignation if you don't have it in hand.
Good
He
enough.
says he's just not working there, so,
He won't be back.
no.
So, in saying that, that creates another position in the wastewater department. So of these 5 candidates, I will probably be choosing 2 of them. One to replace Mr. Seward, and one for our future retirement of our superintendent. So, the mayor and I are working through that right now. This week, we're gonna try to get some of these interviews done. I'm gonna bring them back for a second interview so they can meet with our superintendent and tour the plant, make sure that they're comfortable, and then we'll decide on which ones we wanna offer. And to date, in the last month, I've had 3 different individuals inquire about tying on to our wastewater system in Wilmot. Of course, Mr. Milo was the first, and then I had a second gentleman that is inquired in writing, and then I had a phone call on Friday from a third gentleman. They're all buying property in Wilmot, outside the city limits, and they want access to our wastewater system. And with the issues we're having there with infiltration, the added capacity that would entail, at this time, we can't handle. If it wasn't for the I&I issues, I don't think we'd have any problem handling that. But I'm going to try to discourage these gentlemen to buy some time to get our problems fixed before we can add any capacity to the system there.
If we don't handle it, they could probably go, which I don't wanna see them do it because we can't do it right now. Go to the county like they did it in the war. County took it over, put it right into the waste plant, and then gave them extra money to build the plant. Enlarge it.
Would that be our desires, to allow the county to take over
No.
our wastewater system?
No. Not right now, but I do know that they can do that, or they did over there, without even asking permission.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Did we
ma'am.
find out what they were gonna do with that land that was auctioned?
No, I know the auction was successful, the land has been purchased, but anything else I have not heard.
Thank you.
Okay, Village Hall, we have everyone has noticed that the hydrant has been replaced out front and the holes filled in, so we're good there. We have plans on doing another hydrant, one of our other leaky ones, this month, but with our limited amount of help that we have in the department, it's going to be difficult to do. So we're gonna play that by ear, but we do plan on replacing another hydrant this month. sometime. Street department. I need guidance from council on street sweeping. With Labor Day coming next month, I would like council's input on the next schedule for sweeping our streets. We could do it once before Labor Day and possibly do one more time at the end of the year, or I'll concede to council on that.
I can see Labor Day, but I can't see doing it near the end of the year. We can always do it next year early. That I can see. Because we ain't gonna have to do much on Main Street. Because it's in pretty good shape. What's the rest of you think? Okay, we'll do it one time before Labor Day, how's that?
Hazel, did you have something?
Yes,
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, did we get that debris hauled away that was piled there?
No.
Have you figured that out yet?
Yes, I have the means to do it, it's just the funding and the time to do it. Yeah.
So how much would, another sweep, if we did 2 sweeps? Would it be a lot of waste come out of that?
Probably the one that we did earlier this year was the greatest, because it was very extensive, the amount of sweeping that he did. And this, at this point, it probably won't be as bad. The money's gonna be the same though, probably. It'll be a day's labor, and I think it was around $1,200, if I'm not mistaken, to have them come and sweep again.
Well, if we cut down on that, it ain't gonna cost us so much to get rid of that pile one of these days.
No. One of these days, we'll start working on that. You know,
still have leaf pickup in the fall?
yes, I plan on doing leaf pickup.
So we're gonna do branches, I did have people ask me about that.
Yeah, I heard that kind of went to the wayside, but I think it's a good thing. Things
We'll
that
have
we
to
need to
do
talk
that.
about getting scheduled and,
Yeah, probably in November, I think they even do it late November,
yes.
something like that, after the leaves fall anyways.
After the leaves fall, but
Yeah.
better go do it before the snow flies.
Sure.
Yeah, usually I think leaf pickup ends around Thanksgiving,
Yeah. that's usually-
so then first week or so of December, we would do, you know, branches and whatever.
that's good news.
So do I have council's approval on one more sweep before Labor Day?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we
Second?
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
I've placed the ads in the Bargain Hunter and the Independent for the sale of the 3 vehicles that we're disposing of. The old street sweeper, the old street dump truck, and the 1988 Case tractor. The tractor's been out at the farm for a couple of years now, sitting. The electric department would go out and run it once in a while, just to keep it running. Well, when they brought it to town, I wanted them to bring it to town so we can have a showing here next week for anyone that wants to bid on them. And when they brought it into town, the radiator started leaking. So we removed the radiator, took it to a repair shop, and they said it was beyond repair and it needed replaced. So I've ordered a new radiator. Hopefully we get it in this week sometime and we can get that reinstalled so that that tractor's in tip-top shape when we try to sell it. So, so everyone knows what's going on there. So I think it's the 9th of August, we are going to have the showing for people to come and look at those vehicles, and we're going to have the bid opening on the 16th at council, so the following Monday, to award those bids.
These 2 down here isn't in on that, is it? The
No,
ones in the garage?
no, I still don't have the titles for those.
Okay.
And also, I'm going to, if council approves of it, I'm going to reapply for the municipal road fund through the county for next year to finish the project that we started this year, that takes it from Main Street from Second down the hill and then out to the bridge. And then we're also gonna do, we're gonna apply for from Main Street to Route 212 on Fifth Street, which is the old Route 212. So we do qualify for funding for that, and I'm gonna reapply for that for next year to try to get that paved as well.
Where you're going from Fifth Street up to Seventh?
No, it'll go from Main to 212 on Fifth Street. Fifth Street is the old 212 that runs along the tracks.
Is that
We're
a
not-
90% grant?
It was 100% last year.
100%?
Yeah.
So we're not gonna finish up from Fifth on up to Main, up to Seventh.
We can't.
No, that's our road.
It's our road, it's not the county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
thought we could do that too, but it's not.
It doesn't qualify
Yeah.
for that funding.
Because you're going 212.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if council approves, I'm gonna apply for that again.
I'll make a motion.
And does anyone have any, I'm sorry.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards? Yes. McKinney?
Yes.
And Daley?
Yes.
Thank you, go.
Sorry. Get in a hurry. Does anyone have any comments on the paving project?
Sure looks nice. And right there.
It's much nicer to ride on, isn't it?
I think people just drive up and down it just to drive on it.
You're trying to wear it out. Couple things, some of the catch basins, the engineer and I walked it a couple days ago, and some of the catch basins have a pretty good drop, where it goes from the pavement down to the grate of the catch basin, and it's pretty excessive. So we're making a request to have the pavers come back and do some repairs on those to basically feather them out a little bit so that it's not a drastic drop, especially if like park on the edge of the road, or if you're going westbound on this side, the line kind of forces you into the curve, and if you drive through some of those catch basins, it'll do some damage. So we're gonna have them come back and work on that. And also, I'd inquired about a handicap sign for in front of the post office to be painted on the road, but it was not in the scope of the original drawings through the county when we got approved for that money, so I can't add that after the fact. And it was going to be around $600 because of prevailing wage and everything that goes with that. But the other price that she gave me was around $450 if we decided to do it ourselves. But after talking to some people, I'm going to hold off on that to make sure that we're in compliance with the American Disabilities Act laws before we paint a square there.
We do have signs though.
We do have a sign there.
And we do
for
have
the
a blue curb too, I believe.
Curb,
So it
curb.
may be, we may be okay on that.
Most of the people abide by the fine.
Yeah.
I watch them all the time.
Well, I know they do, yeah.
So,
Make sure we're in compliance, so.
right.
Not paint the little guy.
And then in the electric department, we have a pole scheduled to be replaced on Pool Parkway. It's one of the ones that our testing discovered that was rotten at the base. That's on the schedule to do. At the end of this month, we're going to have all of our protective devices tested for continuity. There's a company that comes in and does electrical testing on the blankets and the sleeves and things that the guys wear, their gloves, those sorts of things that protect them if they're working on something live. Those have to be tested annually. That's gonna happen at the end of the month. I've also, I'm going to hire a tree service to come in and do some line clearance. They did not do it last year, and there's several areas outside of town where we do have our service lines that the trees are getting into them and they're causing issues when it's windy and rainy, it slaps the lines and causes the electricity to blink, and we've had some outages because of it. So I'm going to hire the tree service to come in and do some line clearance, and we've allocated some money for that. And also, I would like council's guidance on a second lineman. And this issue has become more and more prevalent because our only lineman that we do have has done something to his knee, and he can't walk at the moment. So we are without a lineman at this time. So
You're gonna advertise for one?
I'm asking council's guidance on that.
Didn't we discuss that previously, and you were looking, you were given permission to move?
Okay. I wasn't sure about that, Rod. I remember talking about it.
We did talk about it, and.
We talked about it in committee.
So I'll apply, put in for paper for that.
Yes, okay. So I will then set out an advertisement for a second lineman. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Babbitt?
So the only thing I have on July 1st, you probably saw that the Attorney General had announced that the state of Ohio had entered into a settlement, the opioid litigation. And the OML released an update on Friday, July 30th, stating that more information would be forthcoming by today. As of right now, I haven't received anything additional. What they are indicating is that there's an August 13th deadline for municipalities, townships, and counties over 10,000 in population to consent, and that they then distinguish with the proposed settlement amount is approximately $804 million divided among all municipalities, including those under 10,000 in population. So as of right now, it doesn't sound like, from what they're saying in this update, that there's a consent that's required on it before August 13th, given that we're under 10,000. As council may recall, we did pass a One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding last year when it looked like before COVID really fired up, that there was going to be a settlement that the AG had negotiated. So One Ohio MOU is referenced in this update where they say you'll receive a One Ohio form, One Ohio MOU, case management order, FAQ, and draft ordinance. So again, I don't have the draft ordinance. The other question, aside from the 10,000 over under population that I had, is whether or not the One Ohio MOU that we've already agreed to would be the same for this one. So I hope to have something the next day or two with it, and as soon as I do, I'll let the mayor and Jim and Deb know, or whoever else wants to know for that matter. I know in the OML guidance, they're saying that both the AG, Ohio AG, and the governor are recommending the settlement, and they were saying it is recommended you call a special council meeting. But obviously, if the consents are only required of municipalities in excess of 10,000, it doesn't cover us. We don't have to submit a consent. So if I get anything with that, I'll pass it along and hopefully know what action we're to take. But other than that, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you. The only thing I got, if anyone, the public or council, ever wants to come down and find out what we're doing or when we're doing it, they're always welcome to come down to me, or I'm always here in the morning usually. Jim's always here in the morning. If council has any questions, you guys really don't, just a reminder, you don't have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to stop in. Because if you have any concerns or anything, like when this thing was going on with that other gentleman that was walking around, yeah, you guys could have come in anytime you want to talk to us. Yeah, I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. But I see it, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so, anyway, what's that? But yeah, I know, and I keep telling people, I'm trying to tell everybody out there, if somebody comes to your door, you do not have to give them money. Call the police department, police will come down, they will you can do a trespass on them, and then that way they can't come to your property anymore. We gotta stop, this is getting rid of, there is no panhandling laws anymore. There was,
No,
but yeah, there's nothing, and this is the only way we can approach it, I think.
Yeah, I looked into it.
Yeah.
The city of Cleveland had a panhandling ordinance that they settled for $29,000. I remember Akron for a period of time had licenses. They've repealed their legislation, so.
Dan had one in 2019,
Did they?
I seen where they were ruled unconstitutional.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's all First Amendment.
Exactly.
So what they do is you have to call the police and then they'll do the trespass and then, you know, just don't give money to anyone that, you know, that you don't know, I guess, or, you know, because there's really nothing you do, because it'd be like a loan, you know, so. That's all I got. Do we have anything else
Hey, Mayor,
from council? Yeah.
do we want to do a letter in the utilities just saying, you know, be just really worded well and be mindful of what you're
We
donating
might be able
to?
to do that.
I don't know if that's something council would want to do, that way everyone,
Yeah, but I said, we discussed it, and I said, what if you just had like questions?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to ask questions if somebody asks you for money, like, what is this
Yeah.
supporting, what do you plan to do?
Right.
But you don't want it to be based on content.
Right.
So it's not soliciting because he's not selling?
He's not getting, you're not getting a service from him. It would be like me borrowing $10 from you and then not paying you back, you know what I'm saying? So it's sort of like, you know, but. you know,
They
if he
have
was
some
selling-
good stories, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, I talked to Shaka today and I had another, he gave me another story today, so,
He's approached all my neighbors.
yeah, it's insane.
I wanted to ask about, figure out about the lady that come around with getting,
Oh, yeah, I talked to Chief Geip about that. Chief, you wanna talk to Hazel about the lady that was walking around with the petition? The one I called you about?
oh, yeah, so the petition's not really soliciting, it would be the same thing, trying to jog memory here. It'd be the same thing when you guys go get your signatures for your council, that there'd be the same thing, we can't really limit someone from wanting a petition signed. So if we limited that, we'd have to be limiting whenever you have to get your 10 signatures, you wouldn't be able to go to your neighbors and asking for their signatures as well. It's pretty much the same aspect as what she was doing.
What was that for, Hazel?
she was petitioning for liquor license.
Out at the pond there, out at the.
Oh,
But I don't think that our signatures would do any good anyway.
Start out.
Because that's on the
that's the
township.
That's the county, and I thought they were the ponds, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they had their liquor license signed off on through the sheriff's office. I thought that was already taken care of, but I could be wrong, that's out of my wheelhouse.
Well, she was wandering around asking people, Hazel said that she was down there, and she was asking her neighbors too, right? So, and just tell her no. It looks like just say no is probably the best thing to do right now. Anything else? All right, have a good evening. See you in a couple weeks.